Today we're going to learn how to subtract two mixed numbers using an area model. First things first, we need to look at the problem. We need to analyze it to determine which operation to use. Taylor ran 2 1/3 miles and Kelly ran 1 3/4 miles on Thursday. How much further did Taylor run than Kelly? Well, I know that when they're asking how much further, they're comparing two things, and whenever you're comparing two things, you are subtracting the two. So first things first, I need to take both of my numbers and have them represented with an area model. My first number I'm representing is 2 wholes and 1/3. So I'm going to create 2 wholes and 1/3 of a whole. I am going to do my 1/3 using columns. And I'm going to shade in my 2 1/3. 2 wholes and 1/3 of a whole. Now the next number I'm representing is 1 3/4. So I'm going to draw 1 whole, and I need to draw 3/4 of a whole. Since I chose columns for the first fraction, I know I need to choose the opposite for the second fraction, so I'm going to make rows. 4 rows. And I am going to shade in 3 of those rows to make 3/4. And I'm going to shade in my whole as well. So now I have my two numbers represented. I have 2 1/3 and I have 1 3/4. Now I know, since this is a subtraction problem, I need to subtract the two. In order to do that, I'm looking at my thirds and I'm looking at my fourths and realizing there are 2 different denominators, so I need to make a common denominator. What I'm going to do is I am going to take my 4 rows and add them to my 3 columns. And then I'm going to take my 3 columns and add them to my 4 rows, so that both of those arrays have an equal number of cells. Right now I'm looking at the blue cells and realizing there's a lot more blue cells than there are yellow cells. So I know eventually I'm going to need to borrow. But for right now, let's just take these 4 cells, 2, 3, 4, from the blue and take them away from the yellow. So this array no longer exists. I no longer have any pieces in that array. However, I still have 8 pieces left I need to subtract. In order to do that, I need to take one of the yellow wholes and turn it into the exact same common denominator that the 2 fractions had. So I am again going to draw 3 rows, 4 columns to make the same common denominator. And now I'm going to cross out those 8 remaining pieces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that I've crossed all of those out, this array is gone. I know that I have 1 blue hole and 1 yellow hole left, so I'm going to cross those 2 out. They subtract each other out. The only thing that I have left are these pieces right here. Those are the only items in both numbers that are not crossed out. So I know I have 4 pieces out of how many pieces total? 1, 2, 3, 4, by 1, 2, 3, 12 pieces. I'm looking at this number and I'm realizing they're both even numbers. So I know that I can divide them both by 2 to make a simplified fraction. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. I'm looking at that new fraction and realizing I can divide both of those by 2 as well. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And so I know 2 1/3 minus 1 3/4 is equivalent to 4/12, 2 6, and 1/3, since all 3 of those fractions are equivalent.